Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's practice, Moving Energy in the Body. This is the fourth practice in our series, Finding Inner Peace, Even in the Chaos, and we're going to be talking all about energy and how you can learn to actually move energy in the body, whether that's related to emotions or situations, to create shifts in your mood and your perspective. And the other body-based practice that we did was related to grounding, to really shift our physiological state. And this practice today we're going to be talking about is all about movement. And just to start out, we haven't really talked about energy too much. So before we get into this practice, I wanted to just do a quick 101 just on the potential of starting to deeply understand and tap into your energetic field. So kind of going straight into quantum physics on this one is that quantum physics really tells us that we are living in a vast sea of energy where everything is connected. And we also now have indisputable proof that our consciousness has the ability to direct energy. And since everything in this universe is made of energy, right, the implications of this are staggering. And we're really just on the cutting edge of learning how to use this and apply this and really, really become the creators of our lives. And beyond kind of that, which can be a little bit, hard to wrap your mind around at first, the day-to-day point here is that you are literally a living energy field, right? Your body is composed of energy-producing particles, each of which are in constant motion. And just like everything else in the universe, you are vibrating and creating energy each and every moment. And once you really start to kind of understand this, and I'll probably do more content on the future just to kind of dig into this a little bit more, but you just start to realize that with this awareness, you can actually shift your energetic state, you can move energy in your body, and really the sky's the limit here, on the types of shifts you can create by tapping into this. And the other thing to just kind of really remember here on energy is that energy in itself is a neutral force, right? It's our consciousness that directs its movement. So if we think of this in terms of kind of energy and consciousness in the human experience, it's really just like a natural unfolding that the more conscious we become, the more we can direct our energy towards creation and connection and just our natural evolution. But the more conscious we are, right, or the more unconscious we are as we go throughout our days, the programs and behaviors and all the conditioning that we carry that are not in true alignment to ourself, the more energy we're going to be placing towards separation or stagnation or even in some cases, destruction. And kind of just a more tangible example of this is for example, anxious thoughts, right? They trigger the release of stress hormones that stimulate your heart rate, that speed it up or slow it down, right? They can send cortisol throughout your body. Our emotions indisputably also create shifts in our physiological state. So that's one example. And then you can think of something else kind of like music, right? Which is more of sound and vibrations. And music, likewise, also affects our thoughts, our emotions, and our body system. And that has countless research associated with it as well. And so there's this idea that by exposing ourselves to kind of different external stimuli, whether it's through music or moving our body or changing our thoughts, we're really shifting, right, these nano vibrations in our field, and then that ripples outward, right? It affects our mental state, it affects our physical health, really, it affects how we're showing up energetically. And so there are lots of different energy practices out there, but this one today that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is all about a simple way that you can move energy in the body, and you can do it through movement. And before we get directly into the practice, I also just wanted to make just a quick note about just all the amazing work that is really being done in this area, not only for mental health and psychological, health and conditions, but also in physical health as well. And there's just this really amazing work with energy and stored emotions and trauma in the body that's being done by Bessel van der Kolk. He wrote the book, The Body Keeps Score, if you want to check that out. Some of you may have heard, I think EMDR, for example, is becoming, a lot more popular and people starting to see its use. And it's really where we're headed in the future, both from a technology perspective. For example, we actually have a Healy device, which uses bioresonance to send currents throughout the body. And we're just finding more and more everything is kind of pointing towards that emotions and stored trauma and things like that are really the root of chronic disease. And if we really want to create significant shifts in our life, if we're not paying attention to our energetic state and looking at the stored emotions and energy and how we're using it in our bodies, it's really difficult actually to make significant shifts because it's the basis of everything, as I was kind of sharing in the future. And with any of these, kind of techniques we kind of get in here today that I'm kind of talking to you guys about, whether it's the ones that I share, it's kind of other ones that are in your toolkit, and this is just a great reminder to kind of tap back into those. I just want to remind you that the really important thing here, when I was talking about kind of consciousness and unconsciousness before, is that you're truly going into this with an intention. You're placing your focused awareness or attention on the shift you want to have within your body. You're really kind of tapping into where is that energy within your body, like where is it located? And then you're actually consciously moving the energy in your body with your attention. Like that's really the process that's going on. So what modality you use is less important than actually choosing one that you really enjoy and you love, and it's really effective for you, and then placing that intention behind it. And so a couple of just like common ones that you guys have probably been exposed to in the past, but perhaps you haven't been placing that intention to, is just things like exercise, right? So like how many people are out there that are runners, and like after a run you kind of get that runner's high, right? Lots of studies on that, but like lots of physiological shifts just from running. But you can use running as a tool to just like work through something in your body, like placing that attention and using your movement to just like move the energy. Another great example is boxing. I mean, right? Like think of a situation in your life where you have a lot of tension or anger, and actually using boxing to like move that energy can be really helpful. Just any type of general like cardio, right? Anything where you're actually moving your body and the energy in your body is able to move. And some people are designed, we're all very, very uniquely designed, is what I teach and talk about so much, kind of like in my coaching and with all my clients. Some people, like cardio is one of the absolute best ways to move energy in their body. And other people are more inclined, to what is like what I would call more like softer movements. So things like yoga or like breath work are kind of other examples as well of other ways you can just move energy in your body. So yoga is probably pretty obvious, but if you're just kind of going to yoga class and going through the movements, but not putting the intention behind it, or really knowing like, whoa, like all of these sutras have like such a deep purpose and understanding behind them. And it's not that you have to like dig into that and understand it specifically, but you're just placing the intention, to go deeply into the practice and use it as a way to kind of just shift, your energy towards whatever's going to be kind of your highest good in that moment. And then another just quick example, I feel like a lot of people are hearing about breath work lately, and it's an area I've really dived into, and I actually have a daily breath work practice that I do myself. But that's kind of another modality that if you really enjoy, or you've used in the past, or you really want to tap into, kind of taking the breath and concentrating on an area of the body can be a really good way to just release or kind of like send just the movement of energy right to that place of the body, whether it's a stored emotion or whatever it is. So that's just kind of another one. So exercise, whether it's cardio, boxing, yoga, things like breath work, can be really, really impactful. But the new practice I want to introduce for you guys today is how to move energy in the body through dance. Okay, so I don't know if this is a little bit surprising, but it's actually one of the areas that I was first exposed to when I went in this really interesting kind of like yogic retreat, and there was all these like dance practices, and I was like really surprised about it. And I started to see just how much I had become disconnected over time to viewing dance as this like sacred opportunity to like tap into the body and move energy in the body. And it really afforded me this opportunity to reconnect with my body. And so that's really the idea behind this practice today. And if you think about like really just back to the beginning of time, right? It's like no coincidence that every tribe and every civilization had some component of dance or like ritual in it, right? You can think of the Sufi dancers or some of the African tribes, or like all these traditions. There's always song and dance, and a lot of them were actually trying to tap into this kind of like trance-like state. And then think of all the legends and things of like, these specific dances to create rain or crops or any of this stuff. It's just, and the point here is with that is like, it's just this innate, it's just like an innate thing within us in humans to be able to just dance and feel and express like in that way. And, this kind of leads me, also to the point of that a lot of times we kind of let our egos in, or, maybe we haven't really danced like authentically, right? And tapped into the positive energy of those around us when we dance, and just remembered that, there's just this uplifting vibration, that can be created in your energetic body when you really tap into this modality. So, Yeah, so just like be open, I guess, is like the point. Like if you haven't thought about dance in this context, or you haven't really moved your body in this way before, just kind of like revisit like, wow, what is the potential that this could have as like a practice within my life? Because with dance, you can really tap into your higher self. You can tap into the earth and the people around us, right? It kind of allows ourselves to connect with the music and the moment. It allows you to surrender, to dissolve boundaries, and it can even just invite in closeness. Like if you're in a group of people, right? You kind of think of that group of people kind of dancing together. Everyone like naturally moves, right, into like the little mob. It's just natural. And the other really big thing here just on dance is that the way that we're going to be using it is to actually work on the frequency of shifting our emotions. So if you're not familiar kind of with all the work that's been done on emotions and how there's actually direct frequencies associated with emotions, I'll drop a link in the comments so you can kind of dig into that a little bit more. I won't get into detail on that now, but the whole idea is that we're going to be using dance to tap into our current emotional state and then using it to actually move energy in the body to kind of be able to process and shift through those emotions. And so I'll also kind of put an example of a couple songs in the comments as well. But the idea of this practice, this is, you think of it as like if I try to just like break it into steps, the idea of this practice is you're going to find like a quiet and safe space. A lot of people have not danced in this way before. And so just kind of having yourself in a space where, other people aren't going to see you or look at you can be just a good way to start out. If you don't care, great. Like dance in your backyard or on your front lawn, like whatever it is. But I think most people are going to kind of just want to get to a private space. They can really tap in and not be concerned about, others seeing them and be like, what in the world are you doing? But the first step is that you really want to find music that is going to match or just be slightly above your current energetic state. So what I mean by this is like if you're feeling a lot of anger that you want to process and move through your body, then you might want to find some like African drumming music, right? That's just like really strong and it has a beat, and you're going to be able to like tap into that just to like really work it out and let it go. If you're feeling like an emotion more related to like sadness, you might want to find music that, is just like a little bit slower and more soothing, and it's just going to allow you to just like, really feel into your heart and all that kind of stuff. And the idea of it is that you're gonna find this specific music that is close into your current energetic state. And kind of the other point to add to that as well is the reason you don't want to just like turn on like, oh my gosh, this amazing song that's like super uplifting and when I'm in a great mood is like my favorite song to listen to, is that can actually be dysregulating to the body and also feel very, very artificial. Because if you're down here in this like whatever energetic state, or you're feeling these really strong emotions and you try to jump up here right away, it can actually, not be as helpful, right? You're kind of like, it's just like too much of a jump. You have to kind of like move your way, right? You kind of have to move your way up the scale. And so that's why I say find music that is either kind of an equivalent to the state you're feeling or like a little bit higher. And I also find too that it's fine to use music with lyrics, but sometimes instrumental is better because then you're not having kind of the additional noise of whatever the lyrics are in the situation there kind of entering your field. So you're going to choose a song and really, 2 to 3 minutes, however long the song is, you're going to literally play it and you're going to just purely focus on listening to the music, feeling the emotion in your body, and then just innately moving. And like I said, a lot of us haven't done this in the past, so it can feel like a little uncomfortable at first, but if you just, you can close your eyes, which I think sometimes helps, feel into the music, maybe locate where the emotion is in your body, your stomach, is it in your chest, like where is it, feel into it and just like begin to move. And if you really truly do this with this intention, like it's just going to come naturally, because it is natural to us as humans to be able to do it. And it's also something too, like the more you do it over time, the quicker you'll be able to get into it, the more you'll kind of be able to tap into those emotional states and things like that. And so you'll kind of go through this practice, play the song and move the energy. And then when the song's over, just then kind of take a moment to just stand, tap back into your breath and just, breathe and just kind of feel like that energy is just dissipating, right? Kind of out of your body. And you might even receive like a message, right? It kind of just then gives you the space to say like, what was that emotion really trying to tell me? Like, right? I talk about emotions all the time as being visitors. They're messengers here to give us information about our current experience. And so what was that emotion sharing with me? Like, what action do I need to take? Do I just need to sit in this a little bit more? Things like that, can really kind of step up and come through after you go through this practice. So it's really just super helpful and kind of just moving you through like the processing stage of things. And then kind of the second thing you can do as well, if you want, is you can also use this practice and use music to kind of like move yourself up the ladder. So say you kind of really match your energetic state or slightly above with the first song, you can choose another one that's kind of like just a little bit of a higher vibration or frequency, and then tap into that one and kind of move and just kind of like work your way up the ladder. And that's really all there is to it. I know it can, like I said, just be like a new thing for people because they haven't really either danced in this way or really thought about energy this way or just tried it before. But I would just really invite you to do it. And I think you will find it an incredibly freeing and incredibly opening and just a really fun experience, and something that you can just have in your toolkit when, like sitting down and trying to meditate or grounding to the earth or some of these other practices we've shared or other things, like you're so stuck in it, your thoughts are running, like it just feels so heavy. Like dance is the place to go because it's going to allow you to move it to kind of get to that place where you can kind of like continue along the line, continue on your process. And I'm talking about dance today kind of in the context of, moving kind of heavy things in the body, but it's also a great way kind of on the other end when you are feeling amazing and wonderful to kind of hold yourself like in that vibrational state, or even just enhance that vibrational state, as I was saying, if you kind of use the analogy of the ladder. So that's it, guys. That's the practice. I hope you guys enjoy it. Give it a go, and I'd love to see what results you have from it. Like, what was the effect? All that kind of stuff. So share it with us. You can reach us on social media at The Infinite Kids. You can reach us on email, which our link is on our website at infinite-kids.com, or just see all the links in this video as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.